Hello everyone, Rascal Entertainment's here.
And Mama Entertainments. Welcome to our podcast.
Today we're discussing our very first anime series, The Irregular at Magic High School.
This is a popular anime series straight from Japan, originally based off the novel of the same name, which is one of the most popular manga of all time. There are a total of 26 episodes spanning 3 separate arcs and a recent in-between theatrical film.
Now, we found this series on Netflix while we were trying to find more things to watch in our spare time.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first time we have gone to this section because usually we don't go to the anime section. This is the first time we've actually sat and watched one. Not anime-inspired cartoon or American anime.
Right.
It's specifically from Japan.
That's right. And we watched the first episode, and we were like, this is interesting. Let's watch the second one. And after the second episode, we were hooked. And the way that it's presented is different from the American series because it has 3 different sections.
Right. And it's supposed to be based off the arcs of the novels because they have multiple chapters and different stories for each one. The first one is about Tetsuya and his sister Miyuki. And they're going to this high school that is apparently like it's kind of like a private school for magic users. And it has, in the whole world is this alternate universe where magic exists, but they've mixed it together with technology and it's treated as science. And basically the whole first arc is kind of like he's the outsider because he's been mistaken as a poor performing student. That's why he's called the Irregular. But then once you get to the school and he starts performing the simulations, then it's like a whole nother story.
He outperforms everyone else dramatically. So a little background before you go into the second and third arcs. It's known in the U.S. as Irregular Magic High School, but in Japanese it's known as the Poor Performing Student of Magic High School, or Mahoko Koko no Rotose. And it's a web series that's developed by Tsutomu Sato. And it began actually formatting as far back as 2011. But in 2013, they actually start working on an adaptation for filming. And it was broadcast in Japan back in September 2014. So we're actually a little late getting this series.
Right.
But better late than never.
Right. Okay, for the second arc focuses on this sort of tournament between 9 schools who are all subjected to magic.
Right.
So they have to go to this place where it's almost kind of like when you go to the London Olympics. So it's kind of like a magic Olympics, and they have all these different events that have some use of magic.
Right, where they get to do different casting.
Right. And each one has a different purpose. You have to be a field of this, be a field of that. Like I said, it's like science, so they really take it seriously because there's quite a bit of talking where they have to explain how this works, how this machine uses that, and then they'll be like, oh gosh. So that's basically the whole thing, and someone is trying to sabotage the school so only one could win.
Right. And
then the third and last arc is when they return, and it's kind of almost the end of the school year. And it's supposed to be as if some disturbance in the city, and they're out to destroy it. And then some of the citizens had to help out and fight back with some of the elite army.
Right. Now, what's interesting about this series, really interesting for me, is that the demographic that it was geared toward is male. But when we watched it and seeing this, we were hooked by the second episode. The characters are really engaging and interesting. Tetsuya, as you said, and Miyuki Shiba. And the relationship is kind of strange, and you find out later and understand more about how they're related as brother and sister and so forth. Backstory is interesting. Lots of plot, lots of storyline, and it's exciting every episode.
Right.
And then what's really odd is that after a while, it starts off real calm, and then it gets to the graphic fighting, and it's actually graphically violent.
Yeah, it's not like a manga where they can slightly censor it or it's inferred. They'll show blood and stuff. It's like, but it took a while to get to it. At first it was just fighting and hitting and stuff.
Right.
Slight swearing. But then they get to some point when they have some ruthless characters and they would kill them instantly. It's like, shoot.
Exactly. And that was really odd too, because these are all, they're teens.
Right.
They're not adults. They're all teens. And the really, really ironic thing is it's backed by this beautiful Japanese soft music. Yeah. And at the end it's like, you know, light and airy. Yeah. But when you're watching this series, it's not loud and airy. So I guess that's that was intentionally ironic that it's like this, but it's got this beautiful music. Right. That's the background music or accompanies it.
Right. And like I said, the story is really interesting. I was surprised to find out that when it was available to watch on Netflix, and you saw the reviewers, people in Japan liked it. Well, of course, some people in America have kind of criticized it for it was slow within the plot, and it didn't make sense, or they couldn't follow what was going on. I guess they were just in it mostly for the action. They want to see the moves they do with the magic, and that was pretty much the criticism for here.
I think what is probably the concern is here, when they write things, they like to get to the action quickly. What we really liked about this is there was a build-up and development. I love the big development in storyline and plot and understanding everything. I mean, great detail is given to each arc and to everything that happens, which is a very, very refreshing change from when we watch, you know, American series that are like this, or even that are inspired by it. I love the development. It made it more interesting, and we didn't want to stop. We had to just literally stop ourselves.
We watched the whole series in one day.
Right, and we just stopped ourselves so that we could, you know, make it last longer. But it's just that engaging that it hooks you in, and you just want to keep going and going and going. You don't want to stop until you finish the entire series.
And they also have some other characters that were friends and fellow students at the school. And they also have them separated by certain classes, where ones are extremely gifted and excel in the magic, while others don't have the hang of it.
There's A class and B class.
Yeah. And then the ones that aren't really great at it, they get treated like garbage by some of the students. It's like, dang, why?
But the Tetsuya's group is comprised of 7 classmates who are of a different class, both, I guess you could say, I don't say culturally, socially, and magically, as far as in their skills. There's Erika Chiba, Leonhard Saggio, Mizuki Shibata, Mikiko Yoshida, Honoka Mitsui, Shizuku Kichiyama, and Minami Sakurai.
And all of these are all very different, both in design and in personality. And sometimes you kind of wonder the way the show went. You thought one of them was going to turn at some point. It's like,
And they've got some great female characters. For Erika being one, and you really, at first, you kind of start off, you know, wondering about her, but you learn later on that she's strong, and that she's actually for the group. There is not any type of deception or anything going on.
Right.
But all the female characters in here are strong. Even the ones that are shy, or they talk really softly and they're very shy. But when it comes time for kicking butt, they can kick butt.
Yeah.
And they also can strategize very well.
Yes.
So there are no weak females in here, despite what you may think.
Right.
Despite your, you know, anything you may think, there are no weak female characters in this series. They are all badass.
Yes, most definitely. And speaking of badass characters, I just really like Tetsuya in this. Oh my god. I mean, the stuff he pulls off in this show, it's like, this hasn't even been done in animation. Well, how the heck is he doing this? Like, the first time we saw him do stuff, he had him go against some of the student who was being kind of a jerk.
Right.
And you had to see how fast, it's kind of like a quick draw. First to shoot wins. And, you know, 3, 2, 1, go. All of a sudden, you hear this music blaring, and all of a sudden, before he even pulls the gun out on him, he's like shaking, and he just knocks down. What's your next thing? You know, he's behind him. He's already hit him before. As soon as they said the word 3 comes out of their mouth, he's out. And it's like, what the heck?
And you will find out the truth behind the two main characters later by watching it yourself. We're not going to give away anything.
Right.
Because it really would take away from your enjoyment and your discovery. So don't expect us to tell you anything about the characters beyond their names. They're drawn beautifully and what they do. And as you said, the animation is just
really
awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
Even when it will slightly change, which kind of reminded me of Legend of Korra, it will slightly change when they got to the final arc. For some reason, I could tell something was a little off, but the characters still looked the same, still voiced by the same people. It just looked slightly off, but it didn't tear away from you enjoying the story or how it looked.
Right. Now, you also are letting me know that there is a movie that came out.
Yeah, late last year, and there's a long title. It's called The Irregular Magic High School, the movie, The Girl Who Called the Stars. Like, is that title long enough for your trailer or something? Like, it's going to take up the whole screen. And that one kind of takes place in between one of the...
first and second series?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're kind of going on this spring break. Oh, I'm sorry, it was second spring, and they finished the first year at the high school, and then another spring break. So they go to a villa on the Osagawara. Is that correct?
Ogasawara.
Okay, an island.
Ogasawara.
Okay, and then they find
island archipelago.
Okay, thank you. And then they find this girl named Kowa, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, and she escapes from some experimental lab at a naval base, and she meets up with Tetsuya and their friends, because that seems to be another big thing in here where the government likes to experiment people with the magic,
with powers,
they give them powers rather than being born with them.
Right.
And that's where she's hiding from.
Kind of like Young Justice in season 2.
Right.
And the great thing is, if you're wondering, you can get... not only the manga series written, as well as the TV series and the movie, all are available online on Amazon.
Right.
And they are at excellent prices.
Yeah. And
the movie we're going to cover in a separate podcast.
Yeah, once we see it. We have not seen it yet. Okay, now you were saying they also had some video games for the show as well.
Oh, that's right. A video game is available as well, which now we really want to have it. I mean, I don't care that it has the violent element. It's got to be one of the coolest video games ever. If it's anything like the animation and the effects that are in the TV series itself, it's got to be an awesome game.
Yeah.
So what we understand, there's actually 3 video game adaptations. And the first is the Irregular Magic High School, Out of Order, by Bandai Namco. And the second is the Irregular Magic High School Magicus Battle. And it's a Japanese role-playing game by Mobaji. And then there's a third game, the Irregular Magic High School Lost Zero, developed by Byakuseed and published by Square Enix. And it's available on Android and iOS, so it must be a phone.
Mobile game.
Right.
Yeah, I guess that's easier because with some of those moves they do in the show, you gotta use your fingers because I don't think your thumbs are gonna be fast enough to do all those controls unless you're playing Tekken or something. It's like, and you're too slow because...
So, apologies for both of us if we're not pronouncing correctly, but this is our Japanese to the best of our knowledge based on a Japanese lesson by CD. So... forgive us.
Right.
But I really want to get that first game, Out of Order, by Bandai Namco. Okay. And that's probably the only one that's available in America.
Yeah, probably because it takes them a while, to find the English actors if they decide to dub it, or they have permission to release it here, because there was also a long wait for Americans to see it, because Japan got it first, of course, that's where it's from.
Right.
But then they had to do the American screening, and they got it like months later. So hopefully it will be on DVD soon so we can watch it, or they'll put it on Netflix like they did with the series, because I really do want to see the movie. It was so well received they had to make one.
So maybe Yuli will know about this one. I know she's been really, really waiting a long time for us to do the podcast for this Japanese anime. She's our friend in Japan. So maybe she'll tell us a little more in her comments, and then when we do the podcast on the regular Magic High School movie, then we'll be able to tell you some things that she says or share them with you.
Right.
So,
okay, for this being the first anime we ever seen, I think I'm glad that we decided to give it a chance, because I know sometimes it gets the reputation of you shouldn't watch this, or only certain people watch it because of what's in it. But I have to say, this really didn't have anything about it. Most of the time, the innuendo is used as a joke because you think it's going to go one way and it goes the other, and that's what makes it hilarious, because it can actually do some humor very well for being such an action-oriented and plot-focused show. It has some pretty funny moments and dialogue in there when they got to it.
Okay, so 2 things. Final thoughts. One, it's not the first anime I've seen. I started online before I bought it, watching Supernatural, the anime series. It was on DVD. And number 2, we've actually looked at some anime series, but we didn't finish them.
Right.
Some of them we just were not drawn in by the plot or the storyline, and we quit. So this is the first anime series we finished entirely in love.
We did actually start one called Monsuno, which was based off a toy line.
Awesome.
It was based off a toy line and made into an anime series. But they don't have it on DVD except for a couple episodes at a time, and then that's it.
And Amazon actually has the 2nd and 3rd seasons if you want to pay $40 for the 2nd season and $60 for the 3rd season, which, as much as we love it, we do not. So hopefully it'll become available at a more reasonable buying option, and then we'll go ahead and finish that series and cover that too. But we saw the first how many episodes?
The first 5.
First 5, and that was the only disc that was available. And believe it or not, this disc I found at a Dollar Tree, which is great for us, but insulting for the series, because it's just really an awesome made anime series. So can't wait till we share with you our thoughts and feelings on the movie. Can't wait till we watch it and buy it off Amazon and watch it. So just, look forward to that. And if you've actually seen this series yourself, tell us your thoughts in the comments. Let us know what you think. And if you've got any anime series that you love, that you think we need to give a try, tell us about them and let us know. We'll be happy to check them out. Because as you can tell from our podcast, we watch everything.
Yep. Okay, so next time on Paws Animation, we will be doing
our top choices for the 35 best animated intros.
Yes, and don't forget, we'll also be doing our live reaction to the Star vs. the Forces of Evil comic Broken, made by Anomalia on Tumblr.
Yes.
So, I'm Rascal Entertainments.
And I'm Mama Entertainments.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.
And reporters sitting, flashing lights, trying to walk around, man, who the hell are you? What you wanna do? Well, man, it's on you. Man, it's on you. Put her in my dreams, she was my queen. A castle in the mountaintops, rivers and streams. Plucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket, give it to you later on in the form of a locket.